Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, the NCP National Executive Meet held by Sharad Pawar has drawn a sharp response from the Ajit Pawar faction, which says that it has no legal sanctity. Sharad Pawar has also written to the Election Commission objecting to Ajit Pawar's claim for the party symbol. The Ajit faction says the dispute on who represents the real Nationalist Congress Party is within the exclusive jurisdiction of the Election Commission. Till it is decided, no one can call any meeting, is what they've said in a statement. Sharad Pawar has also hit out at his nephew's age barb, saying, I am still effective whether I'm 82 or 92. On Wednesday, there was a fairly shocking outburst. Ajit Pawar had said, in the BJP leaders retired at 75, when are you going to stop? Your age is 83, will you stop or not? Has a remark like that backfired? That's one of the things we're looking. Our top debate, the clock is ticking. Who will win the battle in the court of the Election Commission of India? That's first up. Next on the show, at 1:30, it's Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg, with Meta launching Threads, which directly takes on Twitter, and the response has been truly phenomenal. On the show, Meta launches Threads. Will it kill Twitter? We've got some of the finest analysts from around the world to actually look at the implications of Threads. But first, let's quickly move on to the situation in Maharashtra and this battle between the Sharad Pawar faction and the Ajit Pawar faction. I'm joined by Clyde Crasto of the NCP. He's with Sharad Pawar, Shaina NC of the BJP, Raju Wagmare of the Congress Party, and Dr. Anu Patil, who's with the Ajit Pawar side. Thank you all very much for being with us. Clyde Crasto, it now has gone to the Election Commission of India. Just yesterday, you were saying that ultimately it is people who would decide and not necessarily a court, and yet you are relying extensively on the Election Commission. Is that the way forward for your side?
So we have to abide by the rules and regulations. So if it has gone to the Election Commission of India, we have to present our case also in front of them, and we'll go by that. But the fact of the matter is, you have to understand one thing very clearly, Vishnu. See, this whole election process of the president of a party is done by the people who are office bearers, the PCCs of the party. Now, Mr. Ajit Pawar says that on the 30th of June, he was elected, and he gives a letter of 40 MLAs supporting him. The Supreme Court also has said very clearly that the legislative party is different from the political party. But the political party appoints the leaders in the legislative party, like the leader of the opposition or the chief whip. The legislative party does not do anything with the political party. So I do not understand how it stands ground that 40 MLAs have signed and said, this is our new president. And also there's duplicity in that till about, the 2nd or the 3rd or the 4th of this month, Mr. Pawar, Ajit Pawar kept saying that, that Honorable Sharad Pawar Sahab is our president. And suddenly he changes his mind and saying, now I've already taken signatures. So somewhere there's a lot of, lacunae in what he's saying. He's not sure about what he's saying. So if he goes to the Election Commission, we will also present a case in front of the Election Commission and let them decide, because at the end of the day, there's a constitution of the party also.
In fact, I wanted to bring in Shaina NC on this. Shaina, you've allied with the Ajit faction, but if you do look at the constitution of the party, it does seem that the Ajit faction may be on somewhat tentative ground. The rules seem to be quite clear on how Sharad Pawar or the party president can be replaced, and it does appear that those norms may not necessarily have been followed. Is this a concern for the BJP as you try and strengthen your government in Maharashtra?
Firstly, Vishnu, I want to say at the outset that, every time you talk about the BJP strengthening itself, the BJP is already the single largest party. We have enough
strengthening
support.
Your coalition. How's
that? The kind of intervention you have seen of the... Yeah. So let me complete my point, please, because I have to have an opening comment before you ask me your next question. Mr. Ajit Pawar chose to join the Bharatiya Janata Party. Obviously, like the rest of the country, everyone has been extremely impressed with the Prime Minister's performance, not just in India, but world over. Now, we've seen this kind of a pattern, not just in Maharashtra, but in a lot of states where you have people from various backgrounds, various political ideologies choosing to join the Bharatiya Janata Party because of the developmental work which has been done in 9 years. Now you come to a question of the legality.
Yes.
If Mr. Ajit Pawar on his own accord has chosen to join the Bharatiya Janata Party with 40 plus MLAs, obviously this is a decision which has been well thought of, and obviously he must have taken his legal opinions too. It's not something that you just wake up in the morning and you decide to do the next day. I think that also the fact that the opposition parties met in Patna, which was a disastrous meeting, put off a lot of the legislators, and they thought that if they are going to go to their individual constituencies in 24, asking for votes from the voter, obviously there has to be a narrative and a thought process of what they propose to do and what has been done. And that work has happened by the Bharatiya Janata Party under the leadership of Narendra Modi ji and Devendra Fadnavis. So the popularity is established right there. The fact that they chose not to be a part of their original party is a personal choice. Further questions you should ask the NCP spokesperson. As far as the Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned, we are here only to work for the people of Maharashtra and development for the country. And under the Prime Minister, we have learnt one thing, that there is only politics of performance. So when you
but
have,
China, are you therefore
Mr.
washing your
Balasaheb
hands off
Thackeray,
this
the late
situation?
Balasaheb Thackeray, critiquing Sharad Pawar, and they formed an alliance. Nobody seemed to question that. So I don't think there should be
so from
further
a political
questions.
standpoint,
This is the beauty of a
China,
democracy,
Vishnu,
China,
that you
from
are
a political
entitled to make
standpoint, is the
decisions.
BJP washing its hands off the present situation, saying that, look, they've come to us, but it's one part of the NCP versus another faction, and whatever they do is up to them. It doesn't really concern you. Is that what you're saying?
Vishnu?
China, go ahead.
No, I'm not saying that. You heard exactly what I've said, Vishnu. And I said that they are obviously, like the rest of the country, impressed with the Honorable Prime Minister, his development agenda, not just in India but world over, and they have chosen to align with the BJP, that on their own accord, obviously with the
Vishnu?
numbers in place and everything in place legally, constitutionally and otherwise. And if there are questions that you chose to raise vis-a-vis strength of the erstwhile faction
Yes.
with the new faction, I think it's quite clear that this is the NCP.
Okay. Raju
Vishnu,
Waghbare had a
Vishnu,
point to make before
Vishnu,
I go
can I
back to
come in?
Clyde. Mr.
No, I
Waghbare,
just
Dr.
need to-
Waghbare,
I
go
need to
ahead.
answer this.
Yeah. See, Vishnu, watching in the show, I feel that the people of this country, I think their intellectuals has been insulted by the BJP spokesperson. BJP spokesperson thinks that the people of this country, they doesn't have brain, they doesn't read anything, they doesn't read between the line, they don't know what's happening, and it is very bad the way the BJP spokesperson talks about, because nobody in this country is joining BJP unless and until they have.
That's how you'll see in
cases on them.
2024, when the
Unless
public
and
votes you
until-
out and votes for Prime Minister Modi.
Please keep quiet now.
I didn't say anything. Let me speak.
Don't be his spokesperson. Relax. Why are you getting so agitated?
Let
I
me-
can
let me
understand your
speak. No.
anxiety, but take a chill
See,
pill.
Vishnu, this is not fair. Vishnu, this is not fair.
Okay.
Because
Calm.
whenever
Go
the
ahead,
two
make your
thoughts-
point, sir. China won't
Yes.
interrupt you. Go ahead.
Whenever in a country that anybody who has the ED cases, CBI cases, income tax cases, all those opposition leaders are joining BJP. The moment they joining BJP, the cases, inquiry, everything is stopped. The same thing happened with Eknath Shinde fraction. When they joined, the BJP was saying we are not part of it. And after 3 months, they realized and they said, yes, we broke the Shiv Sena. Here, the same pattern is happening. We are not part of it.
No, but sir, the
Everybody is
BJP
very,
certainly has a point when they say that the Congress and the erstwhile Shiv Sena broke their government when they had clearly the largest number of seats several years back. It's amazing how that is forgotten.
One second, Vishnu. The point is, if the BJP is that strong party, why Mr. Prime Minister says on 27th that the NCP is bad and we have to put everybody under the jail, and in 2 days the NCP 40 people goes back and the Prime Minister gives them a present of deputy chief ministership. So,
But at the
as
same
Prime
time, sir,
Minister-
the BJP has said that if there are cases, they will continue to be investigated. Cases, charges, whatever it is.
BJP is talking about this last 2.5 years, 3 years. not a single person case has been going on. There is no inquiry.
Okay.
There is nothing is
Four
happening.
of the nine MLAs, four of the nine MLAs who have gone with the Ajit camp face charges of money laundering or an investigation at the very least.
Vishnu, you show me one person that went to BJP and the cases has been filed and there has been
No, but they've just gone to the BJP a few days back, sir.
Last 9 years, Vishnu. Come on, last 9 years. Not a single person who went to BJP.
Sir, it was actually the argument of the Congress party in the last couple of days where you said that the BJP was bringing in people with charges and that these charges would likely be dropped or the investigation would likely be dropped. Today you are saying exactly the same thing which many people, your opposition is saying, or your opponents are saying, that look, these charges are not serious charges. You're saying the same thing that they are.
No. What Vishnu, I am putting something different. When Prime Minister itself is angry in front of the country, yes, if you have a ED charges, you have a CBI charges, you most welcome. The more charges you have, the more good post the BJP will give you.
Okay.
That is what
all right. So, all right. Let's see what happens. Okay, fair enough. I take your point. Swagata Shah, you're with the Ajit Pawar's camp
Ajit
over here.
Pawar. Yes.
Do you believe that, legally you may be on a somewhat weak wicket? If you look at the constitution of the NCP, the way in which Sharad Pawar was removed, it's problematic, number one. Number two, if you are to avoid anti-defection, do you necessarily have 2/3 of supporters, of MLAs? Is that where this battle is?
But we have majority of families.
You might have the majority of MLAs, you don't have 2/3 of them.
Yes. So in coming election, we will.
No, ma'am, I'm talking about now.
No. 10 schedule
I'm talking
says,
about
the
now.
entire.
10 schedule says clearly, you have to
Dr.
join
Wagmare,
another
one
party,
second, sir.
even
Dr.
if you have
Wagmare,
2/3 of
Dr.
the
Wagmare,
majority.
hold on. Can you please let her answer? I'm asking about now. I'm not asking about the election. Do you have the support of 2/3 of party MLAs?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. What number do you have, ma'am, of MLAs?
Number we have. Number is not allowed to disclose, but within 2 days you will come to know the number exact.
But, ma'am, so then why is it then that you were that a lot of your supporters were actually kept in a hotel yesterday? They were subsequently allowed to go. But why was that the case? Were you not looking to?
No, nothing like that, sir.
Intact?
We have not locked up anyone. We have not forced anyone. We have not paid any money. We have not done any
So
kind
they
of
all
thing.
decided to go and stay at that Taj hotel out of their own volition.
No.
All at the same time.
It was just a meeting. See, there are few people who have came from few people who are not from Mumbai, who came from small cities. Of course, they need to stay somewhere, and the event got delayed. So by the time they have to go back, it would have been late, and it was raining heavily, as you all have seen. So, of course, if Mumbai is a city which is in corner, if people are coming from small cities, of course, if people are coming from Solapur, example, they can't go back, right? Because of rain and
But
because of
Swagata,
the traffic,
let me
because
ask
the
you
event
one
got over at
question.
3:34 o'clock.
Swagata, let me ask you one question. The remark made by Ajit Pawar questioning the age of Sharad Pawar, where he said, to which Sharad Pawar has responded saying, I'm still effective whether I'm 82 or 92. Right? When Ajit Pawar had said that your age is 83, will you ever stop? Do you think that has gone down well with your rank and file in your party?
Of course, sir, if you see in today's era and in today's generation, I would like to add, politics is no more like old, no more you can work in politics like old pattern. Things have changed. There is a lot of revolution and there is a lot of evolution in every party. It's not only in NCP. It's everywhere. In each and every party you can see. Sir, of course you will say that, but of course, according to time, there should be evolution and revolution because changes are part and parcel of life. Of course, according to me and according to a lot of leaders in our party, we all feel that there should be a new face. There should be upcoming strong new face which
Okay,
can
Swagata,
make justice
we've heard
to
what
the
you're
post.
saying, an upcoming new face. Clyde Castro disagrees. Clyde, go ahead.
So Vishnu, I hope you give me a little time without
Go
being
ahead,
interjected.
go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things, Jana. So I'm going to start from back. The talk about Ajit Pawar saying the 82, when are you going to stop and things like that. And in the BJP, when you turn 75, you like kind of resign and from active politics. So now the immediate question I need to ask is, Mr. Chhagan Bhujbal, who was sworn in as a minister a few days ago, he turned 75 last year. He's turning 76 on the 15th of October. He's born in 1947. So when is Mr. Ajit Pawar going to ask Mr. Chhagan Bhujbal to stop? Kadi thamnar is what he said.
Okay,
No?
okay.
So when is he
On
going to
this,
stop
on
that?
this,
No,
can I?
Swagata, 1 second. Let him make his
Swagata,
point.
wait.
You can
Okay,
answer.
Let's
after
have
that.
this.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
let's have
okay,
this
sir,
fair
okay,
and square.
sir.
Okay, you can talk. See, if you're going to talk about everything that is right in front of us, then we need to be equal to everybody. So Mr. Chhagan Bhujbal also must retire. Hopefully, Ajit Dada will ask him that question. The other thing that I want to say is that the BJP spokesperson was talking about, if somebody wanted to join the BJP and, because of Honorable Prime Minister's work and all, therefore we joined that. Let me remind the viewers and let me remind everybody, this is the same person, Ajit Dada Pawar, whom they kept maligning from the time, they have actually before 2014. From the time elections are now, they spoke about how he was involved in the irrigation scam and how 70,000 crore was, kind of misused by him. This is the same Ajit Pawar, and then throughout in the
Okay, you've raised 2 points. Let's try and get an answer to both the questions.
No, but you're
Firstly,
not
to you,
letting me
Swagata.
answer.
Okay.
Swagata,
Let me
the
come
point
to
on
the point.
Chhagan Bhujbal and his age.
No, this is not fair.
Okay,
This is not fair,
okay.
Vishnu.
Let me.
Vishnu, this is not
Sir,
fair. Vishnu, this is
we
completely
are on
biased
debate.
here. So if you
We
don't
are
want me to
on
talk,
debate.
then you should
We
have
are
not
on
asked me
debate.
this
Can I
question.
speak?
Let me finish.
1 second,
We are
Clyde,
on debate,
you've
sir.
raised 2 points.
Let me give
No,
you-
I'm trying to
no,
get an
let
answer
me
to those
finish.
2 questions.
No,
Let
you
me
let me
give you
finish.
answer,
Let me
sir.
finish.
Clyde,
You've
there
not
is no
let me-
space over here for you to give us a speech.
No, why call
You've
me?
asked 2
I'm not giving
questions,
a
we're
speech.
getting to answers.
I'm not
Will
giving
you
a
not
speech,
get
Vishnu.
agitated,
You're
please?
calling me. No,
Answer.
I'm not getting
Please,
agitated. If
sir.
you called me,
That's what I say.
Then don't
Evolution
call me.
and
No,
evolution.
Clyde, you've
Young
had
faces
a
need to
chance
give
to speak.
chance.
Let others answer.
Young
Vishnu,
faces.
you're being biased here.
We should
You're
give
being
chance to
biased by
young
not
No,
people.
Clyde, I'm
allowing
sorry.
to
I'm not being biased. If you
mirrors.
feel that
You
way,
are being biased.
you're being incorrect.
You are being biased.
All right.
No,
Clyde, you're welcome to
being
drop
incorrect.
out if you feel I'm being biased.
I'm not
You're
gonna
you're
run
welcome
away.
to drop out if
I'm
you
not
feel
gonna
I'm
run
being
away.
biased.
I'm not gonna drop
But
out.
Swagata, go ahead with your
Can I
answer.
Run away. But you're being biased. I'm saying it.
Right? No, you're welcome to drop out if you feel that way.
I'm not
Swagata,
gonna
go
drop out.
ahead
I'm not gonna
with
run
that
away.
question.
Let me
On
clear-
Chhagan
let me
Bhujbal's
clear-
age. Can you
Chhagan
bring
Bhujbal's
down
age.
Clyde's audio,
Okay.
please, so that I can
Okay,
listen to her?
Okay.
Yes.
See, when it comes for Chhagan Bhujbal sir's age, I'm sure he's 75, he's turning 76. You people are absolutely right. But Chhagan Bhujbal sir has not gone through a severe health issue, as you all know. Sharad Pawar ji has gone through a serious health issue in past. We all know that. He's a survival. He's God. I'm still
No,
saying
but
that
those were
Sharad
not the
Pawar ji
words
is our God.
used. Those were not the
And-
words used by Sharad Pawar. By Ajit Pawar, his words were, in the BJP leaders retire at 75. When are you going to stop? Your age is 83. Will you ever stop or not?
Sir, let me complete it. Ajit Dada Pawar, sir, takes Sharad Pawar ji as a mentor. He is his godfather.
And yet you
okay?
would use this language.
And let me clear it. Let me clear it. The aggression was out of love. The aggression was out of concern.
Right.
If a small kid is going to do a complaint against his father or grandfather, he is going to say the same word that please, ab bas karo, ho gaya aapka age, aap retirement le lo na. Please take care of your health. It was out of
Well,
love.
his
The
answer is, I
aggression
am
was
still
out
effective
of
whether
love.
I am 82 or 92. That was the point he was mentioning. The other point is actually what Clyde had referred to.
Let me add a small line.
Yes.
Ajit Dada Pawar only wants to say this to Sharad Pawar ji is, please, it's a high time. You give all the responsibilities which you have on your shoulder to me. Let me take it forward. Let me take
I get
the
that
legacy
point.
forward.
I just wanted to get a quick word in from Shaina. The other point which Clyde mentioned is that how is it that, political enemies till the other day are the best of friends now? How does that work?
In 2019, Vishnu, when the Shiv Sena fought with the BJP using Prime Minister Modi's photograph in every single pamphlet and won every single seat on the premise that they are in alliance with the BJP, then chose to go with the Shiv Sena, NCP, Congress, where the Congress and Shiv Sena had been at loggerheads. NCP and Shiv Sena verbally, whether it was late Balasaheb Thackeray and Sharad Pawar critiquing each other, nobody seems to question that for their lust for power. We are not here for lust for power. We are here for development agenda of the people of Maharashtra. And if a segment has chosen to come out, people keep saying that, oh, what is the voter going to think? I want to ask you, 2024, when the voter comes out and votes for Prime Minister Modi, the beneficiaries of all will be all who chose to join the BJP and the NDA is going to be the answer to all the critiques.
Okay.
And as far as age is concerned, I don't think that is the debate in contention here. Unhappiness in a political party because of reasons best known to leadership, like if you ask Eknath Shinde ji, it was maybe swaying away from Hindutva or the inaccessibility of their leadership. In this particular case, it could be the unhappiness of going with the so-called opposition, which had no common agenda, because in 2024, when you face the voter, you are going to face the voter on the development.
I just wanted to get a legal perspective on this, all of you. So we've got Aryama Sundaram, senior lawyer, who's been waiting very patiently. Sir, if you look at the constitution of the NCP, do you believe that the grounds on which Sharad Pawar was removed, that would stand legal scrutiny?
Look, there's a lot of doubt here. I'll tell you why. Because I think the judgment of the Supreme Court recently has made it absolutely clear on the Shiv Sena matter, has made it clear that it is the political party's decision and not the legislative. And the original political party will be the party as per the constitution of a particular party. Now, if Mr. Pawar is the duly elected as per the constitution and continues to be so,
yes.
If the National Committee has the powers to take, then to take a decision by some members merely because they may have a majority of the assembly to go and support or not support any other party against the wishes of the political party. Now, the political party obviously cannot each time go by way of a referendum to the entire party. So under the constitution, the party speaks to, let's say, the National Executive Council or the General Council, whatever the council is. Now, under the constitution, there is a body which speaks for the party. Now, it is that body which speaks for the party which decides on the acts of the party, the way the party, who it shall support, how they vote, how they want.
Right.
And the Supreme Court has made it extremely clear in the recent decision that the whip or the leader of the party is decided by the political party and not by the legislative party. It appears here that Mr. Ajit Pawar is going on the basis of having a majority of the MLAs with him and therefore claims the right. But I don't think legally that can be said to be beyond exception in view of the recent judgment of the Supreme Court. However, of course, in the Shiv Sena matter, the Supreme Court said that's left for the Election Commission to decide as to who is really the party. Now, the fact is, the bottom line is this. Whoever is the party can decide how the party is to act. And all MLAs are bound to act as per that. The MLAs deciding on their own against the party's wishes is the tail wagging the dog.
And what about the symbol, sir? What about the argument about the symbol at the level of the EC?
Election Commission has to decide as to if there is, let's say, a split in the party. Let's say there are two factions in the party. That becomes the Election Commission to decide which is the faction which represents the party, i.e. the majority of the general body of the party, not the majority of legislators. Now, that is something we have to understand. It is the party which decides who the leader will be, the party which decides who the whip will be. The whip tomorrow may give an instruction, the whip is the MLA who will give the instruction. But the whip is chosen by the party.
Right.
And acts at the behest of the party. So now once that is clear, it all boils down to a fact of which is the party. Now, the constitution of any party states as to how the party will act. the way of electing members of the National Council, the way the National Executive Council will act, whose voice they will speak through, etc., is laid down in the constitution of every party. So until that council is changed, until those office bearers who are to speak for the party are changed, until the party itself changes them in whatever manner, they speak for the party.
Sure.
And MLAs, howsoever many they may be, cannot turn around and say, sorry, we are the MLAs, we are ignoring the party or what the party tells us to.
One final question to you, sir. The role of the speaker obviously is now going to be absolutely crucial. Is the speaker not bound to give a time-bound decision as far as the status of either group? Because if he doesn't, then this keeps getting extended and then you get into election season. And therefore, the role of the speaker will also be under intense scrutiny.
I feel at the time being, the speaker can only look at legally, as on date, who represents the party.
Right.
He cannot sit and decide as to who has the majority of support in the party, who doesn't have the majority of support in the party, etc. That is done by the Election Commission. The speaker has to see the constitution of the party, see who's the constitutionally elected people who are to represent the party, and he has to treat them as the party. Now that is the law. And I believe that is the way it has to be done now. And that's beyond any doubt, I think, after a recent judgment of the Supreme Court in the Shiv Sena case.
All right. Thanks so very much. I just wanted to briefly go back to Shaina, who's been waiting very patiently. Shaina, in terms of governance in Maharashtra, is any of this having an impact?
No, I think it's very, very clear, Vishnu. This was a double-engine speed at which Eknath Shinde ji and Devendra Fadnavis was working, and now it is a triple engine. Obviously, the more of the MLAs that have chosen to join the Bharatiya Janata Party in their individual areas are also having their own mass appeal, which is known to one and all. As I said, what is imperative to understand that in the election year, when you go to the electorate, what are they going to ask you? They're going to ask you what is the work you have done and what is your vision plan.
Sure.
When you ask about a vision plan, obviously the 9 years of the Bemisal Bharatiya Janata Party and in terms of work on ground is known to one and all. We are the single largest party.
Okay.
We will continue to be, and in the days to come with all these formidable alliances, I'm sure that the state will not benefit.
Okay, Shaina, let me interrupt you. I'm running short of time. I want to give Dr. Waghmare a chance.
Repose faced in Prime Minister
Sure.
Modi.
Dr. Waghmare, you've got about 40 seconds. Please respond. I need to wrap this up.
Vishnu, if the single engine government of BJP was so strong, they would have not needed Eknath Shinde's double engine. And now they would have so strong after double engine, they would have not required third engine. So that means there is a problem. Daya, kuch gadbad hai isme, Vishnu bhai. So they are not a strong people. That is number one. Number two, whatever BJP is talking about, this is the game that they are playing, the same game they play with Shiv Sena. They played the same game. Ajit Pawar and party, they knows that it is not going to stand in a court, but they just wanted to take the time, and that time will take till the election. The speaker belongs to BJP. He will not give a decision, and entirely they will take the time. So this is the
okay, Dr. Waghmare, I'm interrupting only because that your time is up, because my program at this stage is up. Let us see what the speaker finally does, how soon a decision is taken. I'd like to thank all of you very much for being with us. We're going to take a short break. Up after that, moving to something completely different. Many of us are completely hooked onto Twitter, but there's Threads now, which has also come out, and it is doing really well in terms of downloads. It's from Meta. Will it kill Twitter? That's the big question. That's coming up. Meta today launched Threads, an app designed as a direct rival to Twitter, ramping up the rivalry between billionaires Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. On Threads, people can post text and links and reply or repost messages from others. Threads is perhaps the biggest challenger yet to Elon Musk-owned Twitter, which has seen a series of potential competitors emerge, but not yet replace one of the social media's most iconic companies, despite its struggles, which have been reported on a lot. In the first response since the launch of Zuckerberg's new offering, Musk seemed to suggest that Threads is a replica of Twitter. Is it? And where is it really headed? Well, we've got a fantastic panel, but first I'm joined by Matt Navarra. He's a former digital communications advisor to the UK government. He's also one of the best known social media commentators, critics anywhere. Thanks, Matt. Great to have you on board. So I thought it would be quite interesting to go through a couple of basic questions and then sort of see what your answers to that are. So the first question, and I think everybody wants to know this, will Threads challenge Twitter's dominance?
I think it will. I think this is the first app that's come up, or a platform that's come out, that's going to really challenge Elon Musk and Twitter. It's got the brilliance of linking it to Instagram, which will help bring in a lot of people, a lot of users very quickly, and people will go to Threads and find a lot of people that they know and brands and creators that they like already there. And it also has the familiarity of Twitter. So for people who are looking for something that's like Twitter, but it isn't Twitter because they're fed up with how Twitter is performing or what Elon Musk is doing, they will now have a new place to go. So I think that there's great opportunity for them. And I think for Meta, it's low-hanging fruit for them to build something like this.
Is Threads more user-friendly than Twitter, at least at the moment?
Well, at the moment, it's very similar. There are the core features you would expect in terms of replying and reposting or retweeting, as you would call it, on Twitter, and all of the other things like attaching images or video. That's all there, and it all looks very similar to Twitter. There are things that are missing. It doesn't have hashtags. Its search features are not particularly good. It doesn't have a trending page, and you can't sort things chronologically, amongst many other things. But generally, it's a very good start for Meta, I think.
Is Twitter on the decline after Musk's takeover?
Well, it's going through spiraling downwards, I think, is what we would say at the moment in terms of people's satisfaction. It depends if you're a supporter or somebody that likes Elon Musk, you might find that Twitter is perfect for you. But I think for the core users that have been there for a long time, I think the policy changes and the bugginess of the platform and the fact that a lot of the people that used to be there are not as active as they were are things that make people unhappy with Twitter. So I think it is struggling at the moment.
Is Twitter better suited to news?
Well, at the moment, probably yes, because it was built around that, or at least it became to be known for the real-time social media and news, and it's set up for that very well, and people expect that from it. And I think at the moment we're waiting to see with Threads if the features and the algorithm and the way that you view content on there is going to allow it to be a platform for news. But from what I can see, there's no reason why news publishers will not be able to make a new home there if they wanted to.
Why has Meta not launched Threads in the European Union?
Well, in the EU, there is rules called GDPR to do with data privacy and getting permissions for people for them to use people's data. And at the moment, the way that Threads is set up through Instagram, it doesn't have doesn't meet the criteria or the regulatory requirements it has to. So for the time being, people in the EU can't access it. And of course, the UK isn't part of the EU, so it's separate. So the UK users do get to have access to the app for now, but it may well change, but it's going to take some time for them to fix that, I think.
So takedown requests versus freedom of speech, will Threads be quote unquote safer than Twitter? And I think that's relevant, from us over here in India, where troll attacks and just rubbish on Twitter seems to dominate commentary so often. So therefore I use the word safer. It may not be the most appropriate term, but you know what I'm trying to hint at here.
Yeah, I think that we'll find it, and that there will inevitably quite quickly be spam and bots and trolls and all the things you expect on all social platforms. But Meta is geared up for that, I think, with the technology it uses across all of its platforms, and it's able to build upon that. I think that we'll still see the sort of toxic social media content that we see on all social platforms. But if you're making a comparison with Twitter and Meta's Threads, I think that there's a good potential that it'll feel a little bit safer and it'll feel a little bit less toxic. But I think that's going to take time to see how much better or worse it will be. But I think it will work out better than Twitter at the moment.
There's one concern that Threads collects intrusive personal data. What is your reading on that?
Well, it's true. Meta and the Threads collects a lot of data about its users, and it's clear. Well, it's clear in its terms and conditions for that, as much as any of the social media apps are. TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, they're all using our data in similar ways, some more so than others. And yet we all know this, and many people are still using all of these apps. So I don't think this is going to make a great deal of difference to people, because if they were concerned about Threads taking a lot of their data or using a lot of their data, then they would also probably choose not to use TikTok or Twitter, which does much the same. So I'm not so sure that that's going to be as big an issue as maybe people think, but it is still a concern for people who want to keep privacy, I think.
Twitter has faced lots of issues in India, certainly in other countries as well, with regard to takedown requests. And that's been controversial because it pits freedom of speech, which I alluded to earlier on. But do you believe that this might actually be another challenge, particularly in several governments across the country who are worried about safety? How they define safety, of course, is sometimes controversial. But Threads is going to have to deal with the same set of concerns that Twitter has had to deal with.
They're going to have to tackle the same problems, and they're going to have to respond and react to the laws of the land in any country it operates in, and they will probably act and behave in much the way they do in other countries it operates. And so they will have to abide by those rules and policies or face the actions of any regulator in the countries it operates. So I'm sure that it will comply where it needs to comply, but it will also, I'm sure, challenge back the things where it doesn't believe it's a moderation that needs to take place. And it's a delicate balance, but this is what social networks have had to deal with for years, and nothing has changed today by the launching of Threads.
Is there anything that you've seen which leads you to believe that the architecture of Threads would ensure that there are fewer bots and trolls?
It's too early to say how effective Meta's moderation tools are going to be. I've certainly seen on Threads already there is spam there, and there is kind of content that maybe is not ideal or they wouldn't want there, but no more than any other platform that we're using at the moment. But I think we will see, as more people come on board the platform, that will increase, and then we'll get an idea of how effective the moderation tools are. But if we look at Instagram and we look at Facebook and see how that looks, we probably can make a judgment as to how effective it will be, because it's going to be using a lot of the same technology.
How important is Threads for Meta?
I think it's, as I said at the beginning, low-hanging fruit. This is a great opportunity. Elon Musk has handed this to them on a plate, really, with the behavior he's made. He's been showing with Twitter and the changes he's made. I think that there is every chance that this will be around in a year from now. I think that the question will be, can Meta transform a platform that was a text-based platform that only had 200-300 million users for Twitter? Can they make it more mainstream and appeal to people beyond those that are typical users of Twitter? And if they can do that, then a year from now we could be seeing another platform that could make them a significant amount of revenue from advertising and from other monetization options and features that they put in place.
Matt, wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for being with us. Thanks very much indeed. Well, we're going to continue this conversation. We've got Aprameya Radhakrishnan, the co-founder and CEO of Coup. We've got Manish Maheshwari, the co-founder of Sanori. We've got Pankaj Mishra, co-founder of Factor Daily, and NS Napinai, the founder of Cyber Saathi Foundation. So I'm the only one who's not founded anything, and I don't think I ever will. So I'm rather intimidated by this group over here. But Aprameya, let me come to you first. What are your thoughts on Threads? I mean, there's huge excitement over here. There's been a bit of snark, between Meta and Threads already and their respective owners. So where do you see it going?
Yeah, I think, the kind of excitement that is there for a Meta product is something that was expected, I guess, if not more, at least this much excitement would happen if Meta launched a product. But what I see is, it definitely is a threat to the English world of Twitter, because, they're borrowing from their Instagram network. So Instagram is also heavily, English oriented, and it doesn't have too much of text. What will be challenging is the fact that they're borrowing from a lifestyle platform, which is Instagram. So the mood is to share what I'm eating, where I'm going, who I'm hanging out with, what I'm wearing, right? So that behavior, that network has been replicated now. And whether you can expect thoughts and opinions from the same creators and the same network is yet to be seen. So will they become a very different platform altogether, which will be of value, or will they be able to convert that behavior into sharing thoughts and opinions is yet to be seen, right? But as far as we are concerned, so we exist because we are a lot more inclusive than Twitter. So we include languages. So I don't see Threads as a platform that will include languages from the way they're operating right now. So I think we definitely continue on our own path of more inclusion of people who speak languages and building for the rest of the world.
Just speaking, Apramey, about Ku a little bit more. You've got a very strong India identity. Is that what you're rooting on for your future, as opposed to, let's say, a Threads, which is truly international?
Yeah, so I think it's not just India, but a lot of countries across the world actually have problems with, global tech and global social media. They want lesser interference with their data. They want lesser interference with, things that are happening in their own local country. So, what we've built for India is what we want to take to every other country. It's almost like social media as a service to every country so that they can have a local social media that doesn't threaten to stop operating if things don't go well between countries, right? So use the global social media, but also have a local alternative at all points in time, and who is the one that will provide that for every country?
Manish, what is at stake for Twitter? What is at stake for Meta?
There's a lot at stake for Twitter. First of all, it's a fun time. I think it's exciting to see something like this get launched. And my view is that, yes, it's a serious threat to Twitter, particularly at a time when they're quite distracted. And also at a time where Twitter has, out of its own choice, started focusing a lot more on monetization and not so much on user and reach, right? User growth and reach. So something like this getting launched at a time like this is a serious threat to their global dominance and reach when it comes to public conversation. So that's one. Now, how does it pan out, right? So my view is the following, right? Clearly, because of the Instagram easy access to all the users, the initial few months would be very steep curve in terms of user growth, right? What remains to be seen is that do people still hang out there and do they still engage in conversation? And does things really change from there on? Because don't forget, right? Google also launched something called Google Plus several years ago to compete with Meta or Facebook in those days, right? And they were not successful. So just because, Meta is launching this, that doesn't mean it will be successful all the time, but it does have a very good head start. The question would be, context does matter, right? When you go to Instagram, the context is picture first. So the kind of people there on Instagram are probably trying to share their personal life in a visual format, right? And you're expecting the same people to come to Thread and start becoming textual and start sharing ideas and opinion. That may or may not happen. It may happen with some people, but you will have to instigate that. You'll have to cause people to do that. You will have to have journalists like yourself be on Thread and start breaking news. Will that happen quickly? We don't know that, right? And so that's why the fun part is there, that it's a serious threat. And the other key difference here is that it's going to be an open platform. I was looking at the terms of service. They're talking about something called Fediverse, which is basically saying that Thread would be one version of it, but it would be an open protocol. So anyone else can also launch and have their own server in a decentralized fashion that would interoperate or connect with what Thread is doing. So they're also, in a way, going after the idea that Jack originally had about Blue Sky, which is open protocol. And in this case, Instagram gives them a head start, and they are now building an open protocol based off that. So strategically, they have gotten it right. They have a very good thinking on this one, but execution matters, and also the follow through matters. So we'll have to wait and watch how that happens.
Pankaj, what I found interesting, because I set up my own Threads account today. Hint to all of you people, please sign on. But moving on from that, I found it quite interesting that in the case of Instagram, you have your picture first and then you describe it. Whereas over here, you write something and then you attach a video or you attach a picture. But the easy linkage between a photograph or video on Instagram, right? The fact that you can directly sort of share it over here on on this new platform, it is a huge attraction, isn't it, for people who choose to do more than just post a picture?
It is a huge attraction. And Vishnu, I think this battle for the new age Chaupal is becoming very fascinating if you look at it. And one of the things Manish was talking about is very, very important, which is the openness of threads. Now, I mean, notwithstanding all the reputation that Meta has when it comes to these issues, but I mean, they are saying that you can actually take your audience when you leave the app, and also the Mastodon integration. So I think it illustrates the birth of a new age social media platform in this age where a lot of users value these things. And they're doing this because they also want to attract the creator community on a platform like Twitter. And I think that is going to be very, very exciting. But I think I'm going to watch more closely what Twitter does, because so far we have been seeing erratic, sometimes foolish changes at Twitter by Elon Musk. Now, this is the first time Twitter has a serious rival. I mean, let's not forget what happened to Clubhouse, and it was touted as one of the biggest things out there.
Yep.
But now you have a mainstream rival, and people say you are as good as your rival. So I'm more interested in watching what Elon and Twitter do, because that is where the spotlight is.
NS Napinai, what are your concerns from a cyber security standpoint? Manish, I'll come to you in a second.
Thank you for making this statement itself about concerns, and you're right. Apart from the fact that, when I looked at threads, the first thing that caught my eye as a Tamilian is the use of the word coup. So I would say this is not just Twitter versus threads, but also Twitter versus threads versus coup here. But the real concern that I have is, on one hand, the linking with Instagram is the positive aspect in terms of a business sense for Meta. But the same linking is likely to raise the first concern, which is with respect to not just data protection, but also the enhanced risk of the linking of two different platforms, and possibly 4 different platforms now, and the kind of data integration and analysis that it opens itself out to. Because you already had a triangulation between Meta platform, as in Facebook earlier, and Instagram and WhatsApp. And now you have threads added to it. So that does cause a serious concern, or red flags it for me, with respect to the kind of data that is going to be collected, the kind of data that's going to be integrated, and how it is going to affect profiling aspects. Apart from that is the fact that, we have the announcement yesterday about the DPDP. We are still waiting with bated breath for the draft. And my concern primarily is the main issue that you have with the EU GDPR is the right to opt out.
Sure.
If Threads is keeping itself out of EU, and we are still waiting to see whether India is going to give us that opt out and still have the right to use the service. And if Threads is keeping away from EU, what is it going to do with respect to India, considering that it's clearly pitching itself for the Indian audience, right? So basically, everything boils down to data to me, to begin with. But the rest of the issues will be in terms of what has Meta done to take into account the fact of all those reports about toxic Twitter usage.
Yep.
Has it put in place protective or preventive measures? Because you don't really have enough information in public with respect to the same.
Manish, you had a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of good points got made, right? So I just want to make a couple of other points, right? One is about, we have to think about how this will take off, and I'll tell you the advantage versus disadvantage, and also the whole point about toxicity and moderation. So let's talk about that as well. So in terms of takeoff, right? I mean, the advantage of Twitter being linked with Insta is that you avoid the empty house effect, right? When you go into thread, right away, I found my friends, I started interacting with them. Very good experience. First use experience is very good, and I loved it, right? The downside is that when I'm talking on thread, I have the overhang of Instagram. So I'm thinking visual first or picture first, right? So for me to switch to like text first was a bit of a challenge. And secondly, clearly they will have to get their engineering right in terms of like, how do you look at trending stuff, and how do you start breaking news? How do you make it more raw and authentic? And the other thing is also that the Twitter thing works because it allows anonymity and pseudonymity and it allows people to sort of latch on to like conversations happening, right? So that has to also be solved for, right? Now, when it comes to moderation, etc., clearly, if this takes off, it will start running into similar problem because words actually are far more controversial than pictures, right? So if you look at Instagram, yes, there are a lot of controversial stuff and content there, but because it is visual, it doesn't have the same level of toxicity that you see on a text-based platform, right?
Yeah.
So clearly, this would be something they'll have to deal with in a very different fashion. But the parent company, Meta, also has Facebook, so have dealt with that problem. So I'm sure they have expertise in that, and they will have to bring it to bear. So we'll have to see how that evolves. The other thing they have done smartly is that to avoid any kind of central regulation or government control, they have tried to do it in a decentralized format, right? So my view would be that if everything is under thread, then there is a problem. But they sort of start one server and allow people to have multiple servers and don't have direct control, but enable interaction between servers on a protocol level, then they can always say that, okay, it's happening on someone else's server and I don't have
you
control.
can bypass,
So that will allow them to avoid those regulatory stuff. So they're also trying to be smart in terms of like, if this gets very big, how do I ensure that I do have the head start, but I'm not subject to the same level of control that a central authority can control a centrally run system. Sure. So that's also another smart thing they have at least thought about it. So I mean, I'm quite fascinated. I've been trying it for a day now, and I'm trying to uncover many things. And I think the interface actually is a exact copy of Twitter, right? The reposting.
Yeah, no,
and
it's exactly what you're used to using.
Exactly.
So that is, I mean, it is interesting. Look, I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us. It is absolutely fascinating. We've got coup here in India doing so well. And of course, Twitter is something that we've all, in a sense, been brought up with. But now you've got Threads as well, which is not quite the same, but it is similar. Are we going to be having a conversation like this 1 year later? Is this a real coup as far as Threads is concerned? I think that's what we're going to have to find out as well. Apramaya, we'll come back to you later on, but I'm out of time. It's time for this short break.